Yeah.
Yesterday, October 16th, 2016, was the 80th anniversary of my mother's middle and high school, Chongqing Nankai Secondary School. And our principal, Mr. Tian, posted and reposted 51 tweets on his Twitters on that day. And we got letters from the Harvard University, Emory University, UCSD, and the University of Sydney, and so on, to congratulate us. And I am so proud of my school since I spent 6 years at that school, and I know every single spot at that school. And Chongqing Nankai Middle School and secondary school is a really special school because most of the high school in China are very stressful since we are facing the first and one of the biggest challenge in our life because we have a college entrance examination. It's not like SAT in the US, you can take it as many times as you want. Most of the high school students in China, you can only take it once in your life, and the scores can determine which university you're going to. So it is a really important exam, and therefore the schools in China focus mainly on mathematics and English and Chinese because those are the subjects these test on. But it's not true. However, it's not true for Nankai Secondary School. We always have the highest score in the city, but we don't really focus on those the subjects like math. We have some special class such as like sculptures, paintings, and swimming, psychologies. And it's kind of like high school in the US, but it's pretty weird in China since you cannot get any credit of those classes since there is no records on those classes. But I found out those are the class most useful for me since I took psychology after my first year, and the teacher of my psychology class is our vice principal. And I think he is the most charming professor I've ever had at that time. He's really interesting, and he makes me feel psychology is a really good and interesting subject, which it's just like opened the door for me, and I can explore it. So I decided to take psychology in the future as my major. But however, on the other hand, the second year of high school, I took business management class. And this is the time I realized business is not my type of things. I'm not going to be a businessman in the future. So I feel like as a student in Chongqing Nankai Secondary School, we're luckier than most of the students in China since we have an opportunity to try something we think we're interested for, and we can have time to determine if we are going to pursue it as a career. On the other hand, like I said, this exam is so important for us. So a lot of schools in China will have no activities because they want to spend more time on study. They want to spend more time on studies. So it's also not true for Nankai because, for example, like me, I have a lot of activities when I was in high schools, and the one I remember the most is the Chinese bridge competition. It's a worldwide competition, and we have 12 candidates from different countries come to my school and to practice Chinese with us. And our mission is to come up with a comedy, a drama for them, and to perform and to display their ability to speak Chinese. So we studied and rehearsed, and we ate spicy food together for 2 weeks. And they told me a lot of different stories, and I learned a lot of different culture, different lifestyles. And this is the first time I experienced culture shock. And also this is the first time I realized the world is much bigger and more diversity than I thought. So right now I'm here from China all the way to the US to experience the difference. And another activity for me is most memorable is charity activities. And the April is usually it's on the April. It's usually the club season at Nankai, and me as a club leader have to come up with an event to celebrate this April. So at that time, the school radio encouraged us to donate books for a school that they have really limited resources and they cannot even afford a library. So me and other like club leaders come up with a talent show, which is free for the audience, but the only thing you have to pay is donating one book. We end up collect like 1,000 books, and we got a thanks letter from the school where those books went to. And I'm really proud of these activities. And during these activities, the faculties at Nankai Secondary School helped us a lot, and they never limited us. They give all the opportunities and the resources they have to us, and this is why I love Nankai so much. And also, this is why I love Nankai so much. And also, it's not only about the memorize, also because of the people I met at Nankai Secondary School, like my best friend Peiyan. She is the most independent girl I met. By independence, I didn't mean that she never cries. She's strong, like actually, I saw her cry several times, but every time life gives her tears, she gives it back with smiles. So she's really an independent girl, and also she's really smart. She's the smartest girl I've ever met. She is smart not only because of the good study. Actually, she is really good at study. She got 710 out of 750 during the college entrance exams, and but also she knows how to give up things properly. She knows what is the things she needs to. It's worth for her to strive for, and from her I learned a lot. She thanks for Nankai, I made the best friend of my life, and every time I throw back, I feel like it's hard to tell my feeling about Nankai Middle School, Nankai Secondary School, since she's like the most influential teacher of my life. Also, she's like the luckiest opportunity of my life. But sometimes I just feel I have a time machine so I can throw it back and go back to do all the things, experience all the things once again, and I'm sure I can do it better. But I don't know, and we all like this. When we are like living at the moment, we couldn't know how precious our time is, but when we're finally realize like we cannot go back, we start to regret like why we didn't do it better. I think this is the best and the last things Nankai had taught me is to cherish the present and enjoy the moment. Thank you.
Okay. Your poor little cards. Okay, what'd you think?
Okay.
What does that mean?
I think I looked the car, the times is much less than I thought. The times I look the car is much less than I thought. Since I don't know, every time I feel nervous, I cannot remember anything, and so I have to read it. But right now, I feel like it's okay.
You still read off of them some,
Yes.
so it was better though. So that's good. And the cards are just there to help jog your memory. You know the material. You know what you want to say. It's part of your history, so that's good. Intro's okay. I want you to listen to the first thing you say and see if you think that's the best thing. Could there be something else that could be a little more catchy? Because it was good. I'm just saying, what do you think? Body's put together pretty good, so really nothing to say about that. Because you're looking at your cards, though, you start looking at them more and more and more, and that breaks up, the contact with the audience. So when you're using cards, there's nothing wrong with looking at them, but when you're looking at them, don't be talking. Finish your statement, and then take your time and go down, then come back up. Because you're at, what was it, 7:44? Okay. Yeah, you had a little leeway to do that. So you're not in a big rush to get the next thought. Take your time with them. And you can still use them.
I feel awkward when I look at the card and there's no sound here, and I feel like everyone is watching me, and I look at the card.
You know what? Everybody is watching you. Because you're up there giving a talk.
Yes.
So they are, but again, if you're still talking and you're looking at the card, you're losing your audience.
Yes.
If you pause and just go down and look at it to get the thought, you're giving us time to reflect on what you just said. and that gives us time to think. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody likes that. So work on that next time. When you're practicing with the cards, finish your thought, go down and get the next thought, come up, and then continue. And don't be saying anything when you're looking down. The moment you do, you have to start the whole thing all over again.
Yes.
In your head.
Okay.
Think, if I mess up, I got to start this whole speech all over again. And that's pressure, but that will help it a lot. But other than that, it's put together pretty well. The conclusion, pretty good transition into it. I'm not sure you summarized the points, though. You mentioned a couple of them. You didn't really summarize all the points. Go back over where you've been. Tell us what you covered. And same thing with the last quote. It's good, or the last thing you say. It's good. It's not great. So next time, a couple of things to work on, but you have no problem with organization. You're organized all over the place. You had really good with that. You had really good transitions. And my phone, for some reason, dinged, and you heard it, and you just kept going. So it didn't distract you, and that's really good, because that's really what I measure, a lot. When the unpredictable happens, how you handle it, you handled it beautifully. So it was very good, very enlightening. It's good to hear something good about middle school. So nicely done. All right. Who is our next illustrative individual? Let's see. It is Alex.
I thought so.
He's sitting over there trying to hide.
I was making sure it was me.
Uh-huh. Would have been perfect if you had ridden that Segway over here and up there to do this.
Do the speech on the Segway.
Yep. That would be cool. We had a girl one time that actually did a speech, her persuasive speech, on top of a stationary bike.
How? How did she?
Why?
Like, was it a prop that she used? Or did she just
No, it was a stationary bike. She got two guys that liked her, so they brought it up the stairs and brought it in here and literally put it right there, and she rode it the entire speech.
Oh my god.
The entire speech was
That's
done on
one
top
way
of
to get
it.
rid of nervous energy, I guess.
And it was highly unusual, but very effective, because you can imagine what she was talking about. Wild guess.
Exercise?
Yeah. How'd you know that? Wow. So intuitive. I'm telling you. Don't get anything past him. All right. You were also at the Nick Evangelist.
I was. Yeah.
And
They tried to dance with me. They did a little bit of salsa, but I don't think they liked my dance moves.
they didn't like your dance
They
moves?
wanted an expert.
Okay. Well, to each his own. I just say a little more practice. But those boys practice that stuff hours upon hours upon hours every
Well,
day.
they've done that every day, though.
Yep. Well, again, there's not a lot of schooling where they're at. So there's anything else to do but get drugs, get in gangs, get in trouble, that type of thing. And so these kids kind of chose the high road. So interesting to watch. All right. Well, ready to get started?
Yes, sir.
Good.